Season 2, Episode 30, Beatmakers Aren't Musicians. Now, this episode is going to maybe bring a little bit of controversy, but honestly, I think beatmakers need to have a little bit of a wake-up call because beatmakers are not musicians. Now, some beatmakers can be a musician, right? And when we say the word musician, we're talking about somebody who's very skilled at playing their instrument, whether that is the piano, guitar, whatever instrument, right? If we look at a classical piano player, they are so good at what they do. And as a beat maker, we just kind of break it down really simple, and we are really focused on catchy melodies. And I want to break all that down in this episode. It's going to be really eye-opening for you and also allow you to still respect the classical piano players, okay? Because whenever I speak, I'm never trying to make myself sound like I'm some professional piano player. I've come a long way. My piano skills have tremendously improved over the years of first getting into music production. Again, you can check out my piano lessons for producers course. That's helped out a lot of you guys to learn the piano. But I want to talk about a couple things before we get into about that beatmakers are not musicians, okay? So the first one is a new hands-on FL Studio mixing course is coming soon. And what it's going to teach you is hands-on mixing with a MIDI keyboard in FL Studio based off of FabFilter plugins. I always tell you guys, it's really, really wise to get some good mixing plugins. You do not need millions of plugins. And I think FabFilter is having their 25% sale on right now. They only run that once in a while, so make sure to visit the FabFilter website. I will also leave in the show notes my article on what FabFilter plugins to buy if you use FL Studio. I purchased FabFilter plugins so many years ago, and I can't tell you guys how happy I have been. I use them on a daily basis, whether I am beat making with mixing and mastering, or even doing this podcast where I'm editing my voice, or if I do videos or courses, I am always using FabFilter plugins. So for me, I really got my money's worth out of them. But I'm telling you, they're expensive, but the workflow is phenomenal, and this new hands-on mixing course in FL Studio is based off of the FabFilter plugins. I'm going to teach you some things with some stock plugins because the information translates, but the workflow that you're going to learn is just really, really nice with FabFilter in FL Studio. You get hands-on. You can turn the plugin off and on to kind of do like an A and B comparison. This works for the Pro C2, which is a single band compressor. It works for the Pro Q3, which is a really powerful EQ. I was even able to create different bands off of the MIDI keyboard. So essentially, like, you can really get a really hands-on workflow. Stay tuned. That one's releasing this Friday. I'll also say that the 5 Golden Pillars of Music Production course, which was released, I believe, last week there, it's already got tons and great reviews from members. All right, so that's awesome. And one thing I also want to say is I don't think many people understand that this podcast is mainly for members of my platform, where I kind of keep them updated on what's going on, and I answer many of their questions. You know, when I get emails from you guys, this podcast is going to help you learn faster. Okay, so there will be 30 courses this Friday when I release this hands-on course, but there's tons of stuff in there for you guys to learn, everything from beginning to more intermediate to more advanced. And the courses are continuing to be created, which is awesome. And always feel free to reach out to me if you have questions. This is what the podcast is for, okay? So let's get into this episode about beatmakers are not musicians, okay? So let's talk about a musician, okay? So a musician is a very, very skilled person who plays an instrument, whether that's a piano, guitar, whatever. They're extremely skilled. And now, what do they practice, right? They are practicing timing as well as like loudness of notes, right? If you look at like a classical piano player, when they are playing the piano, not only is their timing like near perfect, they are also practicing how loud they are hitting their notes. And I'm telling you, if you go to play the piano, and if you're playing with the right hand and the left hand, in order to train yourself on the left hand to play notes quieter and the right hand louder, like that just stretches your mind, and you have to practice so much to be able to do that. And as a beat maker, we can just use like MIDI and velocity. All right. Also, these musicians, right, they have super strong like forearms and fingers and wrists from practicing so much. Okay. So if a beat maker thinks that they're like a super good musician or whatever, like typically they are not. Now, a beat maker can be a musician if they are very skilled and, you know, they are always practicing their instrument, but typically they're not, right? Most of the time when you see people making beats on YouTube, like you check out like their MIDI notes or whatever, and they're pretty basic, right? But so what I'm trying to say is a musician is a highly respected person. They are very skilled. And we as beat makers, don't be calling yourself a musician. You're a beat maker. Now let's talk about, you know, what does a beat maker do then? What's really like the difference with a musician to a beat maker? Okay. So as a beat maker, we are training our ears to know what is a catchy melody. All right. When we are programming all our different melodies, we need to know what's catchy. That is the biggest trait of a beat maker, okay? We don't have to focus on perfect timing because we know that if we can get something pretty close, we can modify it super easily with MIDI, okay? I always tell you guys about MIDI. If you guys check out my Safe Spots drum loop training curriculum, I have a book on this. It's on Amazon or on my website. I have a course, and then also you guys can get the Drum Bundle Trio sounds. You guys will all learn about the organic tools, which are free inside of any music program. And that's to do with MIDI, like velocity, panning, layering, note nudging. When you can learn these things, you have to train your ear for what is catchy. And then you can easily go and modify it with MIDI. And when you can teach yourself that, so first of all, you have the ear now, you know what's catchy. Then you can think to yourself, I can make this work. So to recap there, so again, we have trained ears to make powerful melodies. Now, another thing with a beat maker is like we kind of take on the role of like a conductor and a composer, where we are like arranging like the whole song. We have to know how to use our various different instruments, right? Like, so for me, I like to use a rompler. I will also leave a link in the show notes. It's a free video. You can watch my video about why we should be using romplers when we're beat makers, especially when you're first starting up, because it's really, really easy. You can learn the sound design, you can do that stuff, but it pulls you away from learning how to make powerful melodies and being able to flow fast. A rompler is really powerful because you don't only have like pianos, but you have like various types of pianos and various types of guitars and orchestra sounds or synth sounds and pads and bass. Essentially, you just click a sound, you can keep making your beat. And they're super high quality sounds. For me personally, I do like Nexus. Flex is pretty powerful, but recently I have found it's a little bit CPU hungry. I also find a little bit with Flex that many times their presets are a little over processed. So sometimes I have to kind of dial them back a little bit. But I personally really learned beat making off of Nexus. And again, you just select high quality sounds and then you can start teaching yourself how to program catchy melodies because that is the skill that you're wanting. Now, again, as a beat maker, after we program our melodies, then we want to know how to use our different effects and plugins for a unique sound. And so again, that's kind of like the differences between a musician to a beat maker. You as the beat maker, if you can play your piano half decent, that's where you want to be, because then when you play something, you can get it into your music program, you can edit it with your MIDI notes, okay? Okay, so let's talk about a little bit of a piano example I have for you. So I have two examples, all right? I have one example where I have actually programmed these MIDI notes, like in FL Studio, as if I was going to make a loop. What I'll do is I'll play the piano loop, then I'll play it with a drum loop, and then I'll play it in context of the actual chorus of the song. I actually initially played this on a real piano, then I came downstairs into the studio and I actually made kind of like the beat off of that. But then what I want to show you is there was another one that I just recorded recently. So I always like to play on a real piano, and I just recorded it on my tablet just so that I didn't forget the melody, because I haven't had time to actually record this into FL Studio. So what I'm saying is you guys are going to listen to one melody which has been programmed. It's kind of like all done. It sounds pretty good. It's actually a really catchy piano melody. And then I'll play you like a real piano, okay, where you can hear my timing isn't perfect. And that's fine because I know within my mind, I can go into FL Studio, I can get it into my music program, and then I can edit it later, okay? So let's first start with the piano MIDI loop I programmed. Now I'm going to play that piano loop with the drum loop of that song. And now here is the piano with the drum loop in context of the chorus of the song. Remember, as a beat maker, we are learning for, how to create catchy melodies. And in order to do that, we got to know a key and a scale. And when you're listening to this, all these notes are within the same key and scale. And now it's just a powerful production, all based off that original piano loop, which I originally played on the piano. I came to FL Studio, programmed the notes. I had to fine tune them, built the drum loop, built the other melodies, and here is the full song with the chorus. Hey, listen to me. Yeah, listen to me. Can't you see the signs of the times? Wouldn't it be nice to hit rewind? Okay, so now here is the real piano example that I was playing. So usually, like I said, like almost every single day, I go into the real piano and I play. Just because I don't make videos of myself doing different things or whatever doesn't mean that I'm not always busy doing something regarding music. All right. Again, if you guys reach out to me, if you send me an email, you guys know that I am responding fast to you guys. I'm always in the background working to teach about beat making education. But I always try to practice almost every day on a piano. And if I have my tablet there, because this is a really good way to practice, this is going to be taught to you guys here very soon, is I always like to play the piano over like a drum loop. So for example, upstairs where I play on the real piano, I can plug in my tablet, which I have a long drum loop. It's about 10 minutes long. There's no melodies. It's just a drum loop, okay? Such a powerful way to practice the piano because you're playing over a real drum loop. All right. But this time I didn't have time to go to FL Studio and record these notes. So I actually just recorded through the tablet's microphone itself. So the audio recording isn't the best, but you will hear I made mistakes. And I just want to share with you that here's a real piano example that I recorded. I knew that this is a catchy melody that because I didn't have time to go make it into a beat in FL Studio. So I recorded it to remember it. Okay. So here is the piano piece. All right, so the moral of the story, beat makers need to know how to create catchy beats. And we as beat makers, we actually play a lot of roles, right? We play the beat maker, we play the arranger, and essentially arrangement I call like audio painting. If you want to learn more, you guys can check out my book on Amazon, type in audio painting, Riley Weller, and you will find it there. Or again, it's all on my website too, right? If you visit my website, there's special pricing to like my my book bundle where you can get my audio painting book, my Safe Spots book, my FL Studio Beginners book. But again, we as beat makers, we do play a lot of different roles. So again, the beat making, the arrangement, the mixing, the mastering, the sound design, okay? And if we can learn the piano half decent, we can then edit the mistakes in our MIDI notes to get the exact sound we're going for. From there, the sky is the limit in terms of sound selection, the notes played, right? If you want to adjust the length of the note, whatever. You have total flexibility as the beat maker. We do not need to know how to play our instruments like perfect because that is a musician. Musicians, they try to practice for perfection because they actually have to go and either perform publicly or they have to record through a microphone, which is super hard to do. We as beat makers, we get the highest quality sounds. Our drum samples are typically really high quality. Our virtual instruments are the utmost highest quality, right? We don't have to suffer from, room reflections or anything like that. Like we as beat makers, we have it so good that way. All right, so closing out here. So again, really what I'm trying to get across to you is that a beat maker is much different than a musician. A musician is an incredibly talented on their instrument. They strive for perfection when it comes to timing, and they are very, very good at what they do. A beat maker has to play a lot of different roles, but typically most beat makers are not even close to the skill level of a musician. Now, if you went to that musician and you put them into the studio and you said, okay, here's FL Studio, I want you to make a huge, powerful beat, that musician would probably struggle to make a powerful beat. All right. So a beat maker has their own skills. A musician has their own skills. But the musician, they spend hours perfecting that instrument. Okay. If you want to learn the piano, okay, my course is called Piano Lessons for Producers. Just visit itsgratuitous.com, visit my shop, and you will find my piano course there. But if you are a member, you get to watch all the courses. So for example, this piano course, the Safe Spots course, which is all about drum loops. If you're brand new, you can start with my beginners course. You can go back an episode or two where I talk to you about the course pathways. It's my curriculum where you can watch each course in order, and it teaches you how to get started for the best learning experience. Members of the platform within 3 months have seen pretty good results, okay? So if you stick with it, if you're really interested, again, this podcast is mainly for members of my platform to keep them updated. So if you are interested in joining, just visit itsgratuitous.com. If you sign up to my email list, you will get special pricing. I have a new course, again, coming out. It's the new hands-on mixing course in FL Studio. It's all teaching you how to get hands-on mixing in FL Studio off of your MIDI keyboard, based off of FabFilter plugins, because that's what I highly suggest to members of my platform. See, the thing is, FL Studio gives you the amazing beat making workflow. FabFilter gives you the amazing mixing and mastering. You're actually able to access everything regarding your audio, like the mid, the side. You can even EQ the left speaker different than the right speaker. These plugins are absolutely phenomenal, okay? I understand there's a lot of marketing out there in this industry, but I tell you guys, it's all about selecting wise plugins as a music producer. If you use FL Studio, you want to get a couple high quality virtual instruments to play your melodies. You want to make sure you have high quality drum samples, and then you want to have high quality mixing and mastering plugins. You do not need to have tons of everything because you will not learn it in time. There's too much to learn if you are trying to get every single plugin. So I just want to recap. So my recommendation to you is if you get FL Studio, all right, and I will leave a link in there about what version of FL Studio to buy. The next step is to look at some virtual instruments. Now, I do suggest a Rompler because it's just so easy as a beat maker. You don't have to learn sound design. You can just select your sounds and start learning to create catchy melodies. That's the number one thing that beat makers have to learn is catchy melodies, okay? So I will leave 2 links regarding that. You will have what is a Rompler link, as well as my favorite virtual instruments. Virtual instruments allow us to play our melodies off of our MIDI keyboard. Also, it is important to have a good MIDI keyboard for a good workflow. I personally am using the Oxygen Pro by M Audio. I have an in-depth review. I will leave that there for you, okay? Again, FabFilter, I believe, is having that 25% off sale, so don't miss that if you are interested. I will leave that link regarding my favorite FabFilter plugins to buy. And I will leave another link. This is a super special video. And if you really, really want to learn, and if you really want to take my advice, it's about selecting wise plugins as a music producer. So if you visit my website, this is season 2, episode 30. If you click that podcast article, you will see the resources, everything that I've listed in here. Watch through all of this stuff, and I promise you, you will understand what it takes to see results. At the end of the day, you will save money because you won't get stuck into what I call gear lust, all right? It's so easy to fall into the trap thinking that you need all these things. FL Studio is phenomenal, right, for the beat making. Yes, you need some virtual instruments. For the one-shot drum samples, I will just mention that mainly in my courses, I use the exclusive audio drum bundle Trio. You guys can get special pricing on my website. I know Xavier from Exclusive Audio quite well. I met him many, many years ago. He is an extremely good sound designer. Be careful with all the marketing out there. Like, you know, when you get advertised to, these people are super good at advertising. They're good at getting their product in front of your eyes. Around here, I just try to keep things super simple. You know that I provide super high quality education, you know, high quality products. If you're not happy, right, you guys can always just send me an email. I'll refund you if you're not happy, but that is super rare on my platform. Everybody has been having a great experience. I'm super grateful for, you know, everyone who has joined the platform, who has helped me to grow. And, you know, I'm just here to help you guys, okay? So again, check the show notes. That previous 5 Golden Pillars of Music Production course, it received great reviews. This new hands-on mixing course is dropping this Friday, which is super exciting, okay? So thanks for listening. Stay tuned for the next episode. And if you guys want to download some of my free resources to join onto the email list, you guys can go to itsgratuitous.com/resources. There's some free beat making books and some sounds on there. And I'll talk to you guys in the next episode.